Peace and blessings to the family. It is me, Coach 67 Sports TV. Shout out to the awesome and amazing LDBC, Lions and Boston community. Shout out to the Louisiana All American Sports Network. And shout out to the greatest university in the world, the Southern University, home of the mighty Jaguars. In this latest live stream, we're going to talk about a few different topics. First and foremost, Marshall Faulk approved at Southern. FAMU hires Quinn JSU chaos. And in this particular live stream, we're going to talk about, Southern University's coaching staff. We're going to talk about FAMU now hiring Quinn. And we're going to talk about, JSU now having 22 players in the transfer portal. It's 21, 22, something like that. And we're going to talk about the JSU fans, I appreciate everybody that has subscribed to the channel that helped me reach this 1,000 subscriber mark. I just want you to know you are valued. You are greatly appreciated. Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy holidays. Hopefully all is well with you and your family during this holiday season. And, it's just a blessing to be here. Let's look at the chat. Salute to your boy J225. He said, go Jags. Salute, coach. Kyle McCaskey said no. So he went and got Ken Merchant from Sacramento State. We running a go-go offense next year. Yeah, I had to change some stuff in my description. Yeah. So, in fact, let me not waste a whole lot of time. Let me, get right into it. Of course, the board meeting was yesterday morning. Southern has approved Marshall Faulk as the head coach. Now, in terms of the staff, there's been a lot of names that's been floating around. People talked about Donald Penn and a former Pro Bowl offensive lineman. But, the main thing people were asking was who was going to be the offensive coordinator, right? So, like your boy G said, Kyle Caskey, basically he got a better offer. So since Kyle Caskey got a better offer, and that's what it was, he hadn't really officially signed. He had been offered, but he hadn't officially signed. He got a better offer. And as a result, he went with that better offer. And, you can't knock people for doing what's in their best interest. But he went and got Sacramento State's offensive coordinator, Ken Merchant, to be Southern offensive coordinator. A couple of people already talked to it. It was like, yeah, they think it's going to be a upgrade over Mark Frederick. And I'm like, dang, I think we kind of established that. That might have been a little bit unnecessary, but it is what it is. And then, of course, former Tulane head coach, also was a head coach in the XFL. Actually, he recruited Marshall Faulk to San Diego State. Curtis Johnson has been named the general manager, and he's also going to be like the assistant head coach. Todd Lyght, was a, very good defensive back at Notre Dame. He was a teammate of Marshall Faulk with the Rams, former Pro Bowl defensive back. He's going to be the defensive coordinator. Ben Miles, which is Les Miles' son, he's been named the tight end coach and the recruiting coordinator. So, these are the names thus far in terms of Southern University coaching staff. Truthfully speaking, I think thus far, Marshall Faulk he's done a pretty good job in terms of, putting things together Now, from what I'm hearing and what I'm understanding, I don't know how true it is, but I think Deion Sanders has kind of been helping him along the way in regards to this. And I mean that's kind of be expected. You know, he was the running backs coach under him at Colorado. You know, he's already been a head coach at Jackson State. So you would expect him to lean on him in terms of kind of help pushing him in the right direction. But I think at this point, you know, once, you know, we kind of further move along the line in terms of through this period, I'm almost certain he's going to lean heavily on Curtis Johnson. Not in terms of like the Donald Penn, we already heard about Donald Penn. I don't remember his name being mentioned. But even with that being said, I think in terms of putting together the staff, I think he's, taking it step by step. I think he's doing a good job. And like one of my coworkers said, salute the coach. One of the football coaches at the school where I'm an administrator. Basically, he was like, Coach, I think the coaching staff gonna be good. It's gradually coming together. So I think in terms of the X's and O's, yeah, he got the X's and O's covered. But now it's time to go out and get Jimmys and Joes. And, he was saying like, yeah, he's hit the ground running in terms of doing a good job from a recruiting standpoint in terms of this early portion of recruiting. But he was like, more than likely, he's probably going to lean heavily on the transfer portal. Also, in addition to him leaning heavily on the transfer portal, like it's going to be imperative that, he gets the right guys in there. We always talk about, in the SWAC, you need an elite level quarterback. From what I'm understanding, he has 2 elite level quarterbacks coming to Southern. So that's going to be a good step in the right direction. After that, you're going to need some dogs up front on both sides of the ball in terms of offensive and defensive linemen. And then after that, you want to build a good defense. So I think, from an identity standpoint, like when Southern has had very good teams, I mean, don't get me wrong, every single Southern University team hasn't been exactly the same. When they won a couple SWAC championships under Eric Randall, it wasn't the exact same as when they won the SWAC championship with Quincy Richard. And then, that Quincy Richard team wasn't, the exact same as the Terrence Levy team. The Quincy Richard team wasn't the exact same as the Dre Joseph Lenore Tillery team. So every Southern University team does not have the exact same makeup and the exact same identity. However, I think, like I said, I've said this numerous times. If you go all the way back to probably a couple months ago when I talked about the 90 plan, I think in terms of from a roster standpoint, you want an elite level quarterback. Then you want some real good offensive linemen up front, some real good defensive linemen. Then you want a elite level defense. And then after that point, you kind of let everything, fall into place. But I think one other component that we really need to bring up, I talk about this often when I talk about, Southern University teams, especially as of late, the last few years, Southern University, from a discipline standpoint, they have not been a very disciplined team for, like, I really can't think. I mean, they have way too many penalties year in and year out. They turn the ball over too much, and they don't take away the ball enough. And not only that, they're not good from a special team standpoint. So I think it's going to be imperative that all of these things are corrected moving forward. Salute to Kendrick Wicker. He said, yeah, this should have never announced casket until it was in stone. Yeah, I think that's kind of the thing that a lot of young players doing now in terms of the transfer portal. It's like they use one offer to leverage someone else for another offer. So you're right. I think they should have waited until it was official before they announced it. Your boy JC, Coach Merchant, runs the famous go-go offense. They average 30 points a game this past season. He's bringing it here. Yeah, I mean, I think, like I was saying, that Coach D was saying, basically, I think the offense that he's going to run, I think it's going to be fine, but I think you need the right players to run that offense and run that system. And like he was saying, I'm not saying, I'm not trying to contradict what you're saying, but the point I'm trying to make is, at this point, I think X's and O's are going to be fine. I think you need the Jimmys and Joes to plug into that system and plug into that offense. Your boy JC, he's definitely getting players. He has 15 to 20 committed already, and yeah, he's definitely going to go Porter heavy with players from Power 4 schools. Yeah, I could see that. He probably gonna go, heavy with Power 4 players. I think the thing about it is, all those players are gonna be from a culture standpoint. Like, is it gonna be a good fit? I mean, don't get me wrong. I know Tremaine Gray brought in like 70 players from what I'm understanding the PV. So the portal is the new thing. But at the same token, if you're bringing in players from Power 4 PWIs from a culture fit, like how do they fit in the HBCUs and how much of a culture shock are they going to go through and how much of a culture shock are they going to experience? The Eye of Watcher salute. He said at least they have some experience on the coaching staff, but he still needs to recruit high school for the future. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one thing that he kind of needs to take into consideration. Don't get me wrong. I know he's going to get a lot of players from Power 4 PWIs, but at the same token, he has to bring in some high school players for the future, and that's definitely an excellent point. Your boy Jay said this team is going to be extremely detailed. Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. You know what I'm saying? Man, salute to 86 Ghosts. He got the fire emoji. Salute to you. Man, salute to my brother, the General 7A Sports TV. He said, salute family. Man, salute General. Man, y'all be certain to go over to my brother 7A Sports TV channel. Go check him out. His backup channel is the No 304 Show. His backup channel is the No 304 Show. Him and the brother Blu-ray Fitness. And not only that, but him and my brother Jared 11 Green and the General. We're going to have to, since football season is winding down, we're going to have to get back on the block with The Wire and with the Black Man's Perspective. Maybe some boxing talk, whatever. But yeah, we're going to link them. I'm going to hit y'all brothers up behind the scenes. But back to, Southern University. I mean, he's going to have to mix in some high school players with that. I mean, you don't want to just go all Power 5, all Power 4 PWI players. It's going to be imperative that you have a balance, that you mix it in, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing is, it's going to remain to be seen how things work once the season starts. And, just like we talked about in terms of Baton Rouge, in terms of college football, we expect to win in Jaguar Nation, and on the other side of town, they expect to win in Tigerland. So I think that's gonna be the biggest thing is like managing expectations. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know people saying what the amount of money that Southern University is pumping into like Marshall Faulk, and the amount of money they're pumping into the coaching staff and just to the program in general. Like, the expectation is not sit around and be patient. They won't win right away. And of course, people always point out from a historical standpoint that Pete Richardson won a SWAC championship his first year in the SWAC. And this year, Tremaine Gray won a SWAC championship his first year in the SWAC. But even with that being said, I think like expectations need to be managed properly. And that's the thing. If Coach Faulk and the team starts out like maybe 0-2, 0-3, or 0-4, like we just can't turn on him quickly and abandon him and jump ship. And that's one thing I kind of pride myself on anyway. You know what I'm saying? My brother 7 Sports TV talk about this all the time in terms of like bandwagon jumpers and fair weather fans. I kid you not, like the last few years, especially when I had been at Capital 6 years, like I had players that played on my basketball teams and football teams. It was like they were switching their favorite teams every year. Like I had a couple players that every time Kevin Durant went from one team to the next team, whatever new team Kevin Durant was on, that was their new favorite team. And, I bleed blue and gold. I've been a Southern University fan my whole life. It don't matter if Southern go 0-11, 0-12. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want that, but I'm still riding with them regardless. So whatever the team looking like, I'm going to support them at the end of the day. But even with that being said, I think the expectations are going to be extremely high. And I think it's imperative that we manage that. You know what I'm saying? Your boy Jay say Faulk already getting them to redo stuff in a field house that needs fixing. Yeah, I mean, we know from a facility standpoint, they're going to need to upgrade and improve some facilities. I think that kind of goes without saying. And, that's part of the reason why I'm glad Coach Richardson is able to, broadcast these games in terms of being on the radio broadcast, because a lot of these things he's been fighting for years and years and years. He didn't get to see him as a head coach, but at least he could kind of, see his vision come to fruition, if it makes sense. So, yeah, at the end of the day, it's going to be imperative that they improve some of the facilities, and especially the athletic dorm. I'm not gonna lie, like, that dorm is old. That dorm was old when I was growing up. So in terms of some of the facilities, yeah, and that's one thing about it. They gradually putting up brand new buildings around campus and on campus. So at the end of the day, I think in terms of the coaching staff, I think Southern is going to be fine. We know they're going to go Porter heavy in terms of bringing in players from Power 4 schools. But like Eye of the Watcher said, they're going to need to sprinkle in some high school players to lay a solid foundation for the future. But we know with this modern transfer portal and the NIL and all that type of thing, you're going to need to recruit well year in and year out anyway. So at the end of the day, I think it's going to be imperative that they constantly recruit and that they constantly recruit well to really, to really keep things going. Because just looking at Jackson State, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit, they got 22 players in the portal. So it's going to be imperative that you constantly able to recruit year in and year out, because it's just a different game we live in. You know what I'm saying? Your boy JC, we stayed for Doolin and Graves era. We bleed Southern. Oh, without question, I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of, when I really start to really remember like plays and players and that type of thing, was kind of, with that Marino Chasm, Gerald Kimber era. But like when I really start to know about football and this type of thing, it really was during that Pete Richardson era. But the Stump Mitchell era, man, that was trash. Dawson Odoms, he kind of restored the luster. He did well. And then Jason Rollins, that didn't go well. And the Dooley and Graves era were terrible also. So, like you said, we bleed blue and gold, your boy G, if we was able to survive that, you know what I'm saying? Man, salute to my brother, Big Joe Townsend, you know what I'm saying? Salute Coach currently doing his tasting. Just wanted to say what's good. Man, salute to my brother, Big Joe Townsend. And major shout out to Old Hillside Bourbon Company, the first sponsor I done got for first sponsor I've gotten for one of my episodes. So man, I appreciate Big Joe, appreciate Old Hillside. Like I said, during this holiday season, y'all go out and y'all get a bottle of Old Hillside bourbon, whiskey, whatever floats your boat, whatever you think you'll like, man, go out and get a bottle of Old Hillside bourbon for Christmas. I already ordered my bottle, you know what I'm saying? I'll be certain whenever my bottle comes through, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a drinker, but I'm gonna be certain to post it. I'm gonna let my cousins, drink and I'm gonna let y'all know what they think of it. You know what I'm saying? So I'll definitely be certain to do that. And go out and support a black-owned company. You know what I'm saying? Uncle Nears at this point is worth $1 billion, and we trying to get Old Hillside Bourbon Company to that same level. So salute to my brother Big Joe Townsend. You know what I'm saying? Your boy J said Travis Terrell Jr. just hit the portal for them today. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that was a shocker in terms of Travis Terrell hitting the portal. But like I said, I'm gonna get in depth and I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later, because I'm not gonna lie, the thing that got me is some of the players for Jackson State that actually hit the portal. Like some of these names, I'm shocked. I'm surprised some of these guys that actually hit the portal. You know what I'm saying? And he said, by the way, Jason Rollins is not coming anymore. It's just Todd Lyght by himself as the defensive coordinator. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like from what I was hearing, they were saying that he was gonna have like a co-offensive coordinator set up and a co-defensive coordinator. I always talk about like me seeing one of my professors from at Southern University last home game from a distance. He was even though I graduated in education, at one point I was a double major and I was, taking classes in business and in education. But in his class, he talked about how he couldn't stand the idea of like co-coordinators. He was saying from a military standpoint in terms of chain of command, there's no one particular individual in charge in that context. So he didn't like that idea. One person got to be in charge. One person gonna get the blame. One person gonna get the credit. And you need to know who to turn to in certain situations. So that notion of co-coordinators, like he wasn't high on that idea, and I'm not either. So I can kind of understand, that mindset in terms of, hey, you don't want co-coordinators for nothing, because all that means is one person really isn't in charge. The next topic, let's move to the next topic in terms of FAMU. FAMU has officially went with Quinn as their next head coach. And truthfully speaking, that was kind of an obvious choice for me. It looks like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are probably, I'm not going to say probably, it's a possibility they can make the playoffs. So Tampa Bay makes the playoffs. I mean, that kind of eliminates Teddy Bridgewater. To me, he would be the next guy in line I would want outside of Quinn Gray. And then, people have been bringing up Ed Reed. And, Big Joe, he has a different take on it. And it wasn't the fact that when it comes to Ed Reed, I didn't have an issue with, him not wanting the facilities to be dirty and unkept and that type of thing. Cool. But, whether people agree or not, if you are in the SWAC or if you the head coach of an HBCU program, you being that outspoken, it's not going to fly well, and it's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. And, especially administrators that hired you and that you agree with verbally, you hadn't officially put pen to paper. So, yeah, that situation didn't turn out well. I mean, to me, unless Ed Reed is willing to go to a D2 to be a head coach on the HBCU level, or just, a smaller school in general, I don't see him being a head coach in the SWAC or the MEAC. It could happen at some point, but I think at this point, I think the whole Bethune-Cookman situation, I think it kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But in terms of Quinn Gray, I think he was the perfect fit for FAMU. He went to FAMU. He's done a great job at Albany State. So I think it was kind of a perfect fit. And also, you know, some of his players from Albany State that already hit the portal. More than likely he's going to bring a lot of those players over to FAMU with him. And honestly, I think he's going to do good. I'm not saying he's going to do as well as Tremaine Jackson did this first year at Prairie View. However, I also think that, I think he gonna have a certain degree of success. And overall, I think the SWAC, maybe not this year here, but I think in the next couple of years, I think the SWAC is going to be a much stronger conference overall, because at the end of the day, I'm not even gonna lie. People might agree with me, they might disagree with me, but the SWAC overall as a conference was a trash conference to me. I'm unapologetic. In my personal opinion, you had Prairie View, you had Jackson State, you had Alabama State, and everybody else. Because even if you look at Grambling with their 7 wins, of them 7 wins, 3 of them wins came against Division II schools, and that wasn't nothing to brag about. So at the end of the day, I really feel like, if you win the SWAC in the next few years, if it's a stronger conference, and you could say, hey, I won the SWAC, I think that's something to brag about. However, if you won a weak conference, man, that ain't nothing to really like stick your chest out and say, yeah, we won the SWAC, even though the SWAC was a trash conference. Nah. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's been years where the conference has been top heavy in terms of, you got, years where Grambling was the best team in the SWAC, or, you got Southern best team in the SWAC, Jackson State, Alcorn State, Alabama A&M, Alabama State, whoever. And you might have had like a few teams at the top, or even a handful of teams at the top. But to me, I think once you got by Alabama State, like the rest of the conference was forgettable, in my personal opinion. And I mean, don't get me wrong, you've had years it's been like that, but I think this past season was the worst season collectively as a conference that I could really remember, in terms of like play across the conference just being terrible, in my personal opinion. So at the end of the day, I think if it's a stronger conference, I think if you win a stronger conference, hey, I think it's better for the conference overall. Your boy G said Ed Reed might never get another chance at this after what happened at Cookman. And I mean, that's what I was telling Big Joe. Basically, we talked about it on my brother Jared 11 Green channel. It's kind of been an ongoing dialogue and an ongoing discussion between the three of us. And, even Jay Good and I talked about it behind the scenes. I'm almost certain probably one day, we all might talk about it on the Southern Baller Show, on HBCU Fanatics or whatever. But in a SWAC and HBCU space, you can't be that outspoken and not rub people the wrong way and expect you to be a head coach. And I mean, all right, we're going to use T. Richardson, for example. A lot of the same issues that Ed Reed had at Bethune-Cookman in terms of the facilities and things being dirty and that type of thing. Cool. I'm almost certain P. Richardson had those same issues in terms. He definitely constantly complained about the facilities at Southern. However, P. Richardson complained about the facilities in a way in which it didn't disrespect the administrators of the school, and it didn't make him look bad and didn't put him on the spot. So yes, he had his issues with administration, and he wanted to improve the facilities, in terms of the mini dome, the weight room, the field house, all of that type of stuff. But he didn't do it in a boisterous, loud, overtly disrespectful type of way, and that's what Ed Reed did. And for people that keep saying that Ed Reed need to get another head coaching job, he need to get another shot. He didn't get the head coaching job at Grambling. He didn't get the head coaching job at Texas Southern. He didn't get the head coaching job at FAMU. He didn't get the head coaching job at Southern. And at the end of the day, I think he might have burned all his HBCU bridges, in my personal opinion. I mean, Some people gonna look at it differently. You know, hey, I've watched to say Ed Reed might end up at a D2 HBCU, and some people might think that might be beneath him or below him. He probably wouldn't take it, but in my personal opinion, if he's not willing to take a D2 HBCU head coaching job, he might not never get another chance. He might not ever get another opportunity. So at the end of the day, whatever next opportunity he gets, he needs to be willing to take. I mean, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I watched and said that would be the best for him to do. Go to a bad D2 and build him up. Yeah, and that's the thing about it. If he goes and he develops a reputation as a program builder in terms of the way he handled the Bethune-Cookman situation, it might get that bad taste that people have for him out of his mouth when it comes to HBCU spaces. Like, you know, you went to, don't get me wrong, I know you're from Louisiana, and, you know, you went to the U, y'all did y'all thing, cool. But, you know, essentially when it comes to the HBCU realm, like, you're an outsider. So, you know, being that loud, being that boisterous, being that outspoken, man, that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. I watch to say SWAC schools need to stop playing non-NCAA schools. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that context. So, but I mean, if you Southern this year, like, what would your schedule look like, and how? Because I'm not gonna lie, you probably need a real easy win for the Pete Richardson Classic. You probably need a real easy win for homecoming, and you might want to stick another little easy dub in there somewhere. Now, I know Roman Banks is trying to move away from that, but in terms of, hey, we want to keep people from leaving early from homecoming. Man, there's so many people on campus for homecoming. It's so crowded. Even with you moving the homecoming parade to the Saturday before, not the Saturday, I'm sorry, the Sunday, the week before the game itself, it still didn't ease up traffic a ridiculous amount. So at the end of the day, you might as well, like, play a school where you're going to get you an easy dub. And when it comes to the money games, like, you know, don't let Alcorn, I mean, why not double dip? Play Alcorn on another night at AEW. And in addition to that, you play easy school for homecoming, and that way you get 2 paydays, as opposed to you consolidating Alcorn State and homecoming. You're losing out on the payday. So at the end of the day, I think it is what it is. Kendrick Wicker said they extended Mickey Joseph's contract after losing to a 1-10 school and blowing a 14-point lead in the class. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, I saw the news that they extended him. I was surprised he stayed, because I'm almost certain he probably got some offers from, you know, Power 4 PWIs in terms of maybe for him to be a recruiting coordinator, him to be on his staff or whatever. The same way Willie Simmons got, you know, once he won the SWAC championship with FAMU. So, truthfully speaking, I'm not surprised that Grambling extended him, but I'm surprised that he didn't get some offers and he didn't head on the greener pastures, because from a monetary standpoint, I'm almost certain he could have made a lot more money if he went up back to the Power 4 PWI level. The I watch to say the problem is, who could Grambling get that is better than Coach Joseph? Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I think that's a conundrum that they will face also. So you right, the I watch it. That's definitely a valid point, you know. Your boy Jay said if the portal goes Coach Faulk way, Grambling might get beat by 30 in the Classic next year. Yeah, I think that's a very, very interesting point. But like the Owl Watcher said, he's gonna need to sprinkle in some high school kids to go with that. You know what I'm saying? Kendrick Wicker said that year Dooley went to the SWAC championship his second year. I think the conference was all around weak. Oh no, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna keep it a buck. The West was terrible, but the conference as a whole, it was trash that year too. But I think, you know, if Quinn Gray can get FAMU back up, if Mickey Joseph could like rebuild Grambling. If I'm just kind of spitballing here. Tremaine Jackson could get PV Strong without leaving for a bigger job, a bigger payday. If Chris Dishman is able to move Texas Southern in the right direction, I think overall, the conference will be a stronger conference. And when you win the SWAC in a year like that, where the conference overall is stronger, I think you really would have something. You really would have bragging rights, and you could, as a head coach, as a team, as a fan base, really stick your chest out and say, "Hey, guess what? We won a SWAC championship," as opposed to just winning the weak conference. Man, salute to Joseph David. He said, "Sup, coach?" He said, "Been watching Texas high school 5A and 6A state championship games. Speed, and more speed. Faulk needs to go over here." Oh no, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest with you. Coach Faulk, from a recruiting standpoint, I've said this a bunch. He definitely needs to be able to recruit Baton Rouge well. He needs to be able to recruit the I-10 corridor from Baton Rouge to New Orleans well. He needs to be able to recruit the Bayou in terms of, Donaldsonville, Assumption, Thibodaux, Terrebonne, all of the Bayou Lafourche schools. He needs to recruit the river parishes in terms of Destrehan, Hornville, East St. John, West St. John, St. James. He needs to be able to recruit that area. He needs to recruit the whole state of Louisiana. He needs to go get some elite level dogs from the state of Texas, elite level dogs from the state of Mississippi, elite level dogs from the state of Florida. He needs to recruit Georgia. He needs to recruit the whole southern region. Clearly, he done already reached out, with Coach Merchant coming on. He going to have some ties to the West Coast. And not only that, but you need to be able to recruit nationally, because I'm not going to lie, I was unaware of. I know Southern has a great fan base, and it has a rich history, rich tradition, rich legacy. But I didn't realize in all these different big cities, all these different states, that Southern University has so many alumni chapters across the country, and you need to kind of tap into that. You got Southern University alumni chapters in all across California, all on the West Coast, So basically, I think you need to evolve and elevate to the point where not only are you recruiting locally, you're recruiting regionally, but you need to be able to recruit nationally also. Man, salute to my brother Jay Good. Like I was saying, I was texting a lot, with him earlier. Kendra Wicker said moving the parade made the traffic worse, in my opinion. That's an excellent point, Kendra Wicker. I don't know if it made it worse, but man, traffic was terrible. So I'm not gonna lie, we made a conscious effort to get up there earlier. Jay Good also pointing out, he texted me. He said Marshall Faulk adds Southern legend to his staff. Anthony Balancier is returning to the Bluff as the DB coach. He said from his days as an all SWAC MVP. All right. And not only that, but as Jay Good texting it to me, as Jay Good is texting it to me, your boy Jay put in the chat also. He said, breaking news, Anthony Balancier is the DB coach at Southern. He was the assistant DB coach for Coach Prime in Jackson and Colorado, and was starting linebacker on a 2013 SWAC championship team. Yeah, I remember Anthony Balancier. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, he was a dog. He was that guy. And I'm gonna be honest with you. When I talk about these all time, when I do these Southern lists, like I kind of leave him off and forget about him. So yeah. But I mean, I think that's a real big pickup for Coach Faulk. And shout out to Perry White, shout out to Carlos Brown. like 20 years ago, I had a English class, English 111 class at Southern with Carlos Brown, and salute to Perry White with the Jaguar Journal. You had Kevin Baptiste from WEFB on his show this morning. And I think at the end of the day, I think when it comes to like the staff, like I said earlier, I think the staff is really coming together. And I think more than anything, I think you need to get the right players to plug in to these different systems you're gonna have in terms of, offensively, defensively, the whole nine. And some of these coaches, like Coach Johnson, Marshall Faulk already has a relationship with him. I don't know what type of relationship he has with Les Miles' son. But one thing about it, clearly he's bringing in coaches that have ties and connections to Southern. He's bringing in coaches that have ties and connections to Baton Rouge, to New Orleans. Now, with Coach Merchant to the West Coast. So it seems like he's kind of tapping into a lot of different areas. And it seems like, I think his overall goal is probably to eventually, like I said, not only be the most dominant FCS school in the state, but elevate to a point where you can recruit nationally. You can kind of go wherever to recruit. Next topic. Jackson State now has 22 players in the transfer portal, and Travis Terrell Jr. is the latest. I'm not even going to lie. I was shocked when Jay Good texted me that Travis Terrell Jr. hit the portal. I'm not going to lie, bro. T.C. Taylor has done a great job at Jackson State. If I said anything else, I would be lying. He's done a great job at Jackson State. But we just talked about how weak the conference was. And truthfully speaking, like Jay Good and I talked about this, in terms of texts back and forth earlier today. If Willie Simmons would have stayed at FAMU and he didn't take the running backs coach position at Duke, and he stayed in the SWAC, because I'm not gonna lie, he was gonna get a lot of dogs coming from bigger schools in the state of Florida. Would Jackson State still have won the SWAC championship? Now, we'll never really know. It's kind of that whole if was a fifth or Old Hillside, we'll all be wasted. But at the same token, I think that kind of brings up an interesting dynamic and an interesting question. Had Willie Simmons stayed in the SWAC, would FAMU have won the SWAC championship again next year? Was Jackson State going to eventually win it no matter what? So, I mean, it's interesting. It kind of remains to be seen. And then, of course, I'm sure Jackson State fans going to be like, well, look, hey, Jeremy Musa left. Where was he going to get another quarterback of that caliber? Whatever the case may be. So, I mean, it's interesting. It kind of remains to be seen. But even with that being said, Jackson State has a lot of players in the transfer portal. And despite how good T.C. Taylor is and how well they've recruited, I mean, don't get me wrong. Nowadays, it's not like, I talked about this last week. Last week I talked about how, if you look at, like, we're just going to say 93, Florida State, basically somebody like Charlie Ward, he didn't become the starting quarterback at Florida State until his junior season. And in many instances, players used to have to wait their turn. Like, you had to wait your turn before you became a starting whatever, especially the quarterback position. But in many instances, especially, I mean, whether you went to a SWAC program or even whether you went to a bigger program, in some instances, you had to bide your time. You had to wait your turn. I mean, unless you were like a bigger name player that transferred from a Power 5 PWI like Mike Hayes. He wanted to play. He was buried on the depth chart at LSU. He was in Jerry Donato's doghouse. He transferred from LSU to Southern, and he basically walked right to the starting lineup. he didn't become the man right away, but gradually over time, he became the man in Southern and the best wide receiver I've ever seen come through Southern University. But even if you look at like other players, like somebody like Craig Nall, he didn't transfer from LSU to Northwestern until his senior year. So at the end of the day, like back in those days, players, they stayed, they stuck around, they waited their turn. And if they didn't get to play like after their junior year, then their senior year, they would transfer to a lower level school, and they eventually became starters, at their lower tier school. But it's to the point nowadays where players don't have that type of loyalty. And it's to the point where, and in some instances, you can have players that's, first team all conference, and they this and they that, and they all world caliber players. And for no real rhyme or reason, they'll just jump in the transfer portal to see if there's a bigger and better deal out there somewhere. So in this modern day and age with the transfer portal and the NIL, you have to be able to recruit well year in and year out. But the issue with, from a Jackson State standpoint is, I think Coach Taylor has done a good job. I think he probably going to continue to do a good job. But the issue is, if you having like first team all SWAC caliber players into the transfer portal, and you got players like Miller and Terrell hitting the portal, it's like, dang. I mean, even if I look at the Saints when they had Drew Brees, right? And they got to a point where, like, the Saints had an elite level offensive line. They had Jari Evans, they had Carl Nix, you had Jamon Bushron, you had Jonathan Goodwin. And it just kind of seemed like, they gradually kept losing offensive lineman after offensive lineman after offensive lineman. But Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton were constantly finding a way to fill those voids once a player left to bring in another player. But eventually, over time, there was gradually a drop-off. The reason why I make that point and make that analogy is, if you constantly losing first-team all-SWAC caliber players, and you constantly losing these guys, despite how well you recruit year in and year out, despite, what you do from a recruiting standpoint, eventually you're going to have a drop-off if you Jackson State, if you constantly losing these players. So I don't think the sky is falling in Jackson. But at the same token, losing these caliber players, and that's the thing about it. I mean, if you look at all the players Jackson State has in the portal, you would think they had the kind of season that Southern had. And you would think, with all the positive vibes around the program at this point, you would think Southern had the kind of season Jackson State had. And I mean, I know at some point, eventually it's going to happen. You're going to have a team, whether it's in the SWAC, whether it's in the HBCU realm, or whether it's just a PWI Power 5 that wins a championship. They're going to win a championship, and they're going to have like 20, 25 players in the portal. I know it's going to happen at some point eventually, because like I said, there's not the same type of loyalty in today's day and age that it was back in the Gap. And I understand that we live in a different world. But even with that being said, I mean, you lost in the SWAC championship game. How could you have this amount of players in the portal? And I can see why people are saying that, hey, something has to be going wrong. Something is going on. And then you have other individuals. I'm not in that group of individuals that's saying that. But you got people that's saying Jackson State is a crumbling dynasty and blah, 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 so on and so forth. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it kind of is what it is. But, I mean, 20 players in the portal, man, that's a lot. You know what I'm saying? Your boy Jay say Jackson State people been thinking about Southern so much. Half the team gone. No, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna talk about the in a few of these Facebook groups I'm in. Man, I'm not gonna lie, Jackson State fan. And I'm not gonna lie, I like the banter. Of course, I love the SWAC. I love Southern. I like the rivalry between Southern and Jackson State, Southern and Grambling, and just Southern and everybody else across the SWAC in the HBCU landscape. But I'm not gonna lie, those JSU fans been going hard recently. When I say they've been going hard, they've been going hard. And speaking of Jackson State, salute to Sonic Boom C98. He said there is no JSU chaos, and we don't have to think about SU. You all will see when the season rolls around. Well, this is the thing about it, Sonic Boom C98. I'm gonna call a spade a spade. You saying y'all don't have to think about Southern? I can't tell by looking in these SWAC Facebook groups that I'm in. Because I'm not gonna lie, like Southern fans not even talking about Jackson State. But guess what? Jackson State fans, they're not only talking about Southern, but they're talking about FAMU too. And they ain't just talking. All right, let me give you an example. Sonic Boom C98. Let me paint this picture for you, right? So I'm just kind of scrolling through Facebook, because I'm gonna just keep it a buck. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. I really had been rocking with Facebook a lot as much lately because they've been saying I've been posting too much, and I'm promoting my YouTube channel, but they say I'm spamming people, whatever. So in one of the Facebook groups, of course, Roughing the SWAC with Avis Heat, another JSU cat, this person put SU hires Faulk, scam you hires Gray, D blueprint in full effect. And I'm like, dang, bro. Like, y'all going at Southern and FAMU, you know what I'm saying? And then, of course, Southern University people, they just lit up the chat. You know what I'm saying? And somebody say, so D got to mention issue. And somebody put D blueprint, athletics in a deficit, double out of state tuition, can't cover NIL costs, decreasing revenue annually, investing in a decrepit stadium, losing $1 million annually. The blueprint. So the point I'm trying to make, Sonic Boom C98, you saying that, but I'm gonna just keep it a buck. And I'm just giving you an example of one post. Like I done seen several posts where like JSU fans going at FAMU and it's Southern. So yeah, that's why I say JSU chaos. So I'm not referring to just the players being in the portal, but I'm talking about the fan base, just saying like, hey, JSU still that team, woo the woo. And like I say, I like the banter, I like the trash talk, I like the back and forth. But I'm not gonna lie, some of these JSU fans, they're going extra hard in the paint. You know what I'm saying? Sonic Boom C98 said we're gonna have to replace lots of guys anyway. He said that has happened every year for us. Well, I mean, I already prefaced that. But this is the thing about it though, Sonic Boom C98. Using my New Orleans Saints analogy, after they won the Super Bowl, if you're gonna have to replace guys anyway. So that's why you gotta be able to recruit well. But even with that being said, if you constantly losing like first team all SWAC caliber guys constantly, you lost Miller, lost Terrell, those good offensive linemen you got, lost them. So it's gonna be difficult to constantly replace first team all SWAC caliber players with other first team all SWAC caliber players. So that's the point I'm trying to make. Whether Jackson State fans acknowledge that or not, like that's a real thing. You know what I'm saying? Sonic Boom C98 said we need to flip some of the roster anyway. Oh no, don't get me wrong. You can't keep. Just say you got 105 guys. Every last one of them 105 guys not gonna be a dog, and there's gonna be some turnover. I understand that. But if you losing first team all SWAC caliber players, and not just one, I'm talking about several. Yeah, to me, I think eventually that's kind of a problem. You know what I'm saying? Joseph Davis say have any Jag O-line D lineman entered the portal? Not for my knowledge, but it is what it is. Jay Good say online, from what I'm seeing, they definitely thinking about and talking about a team that's coming off a historically bad year. In the past, that's like SU fans online talking about Valley. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That's an excellent point, Jay Good. Your boy Jay said they know Coach Faulk is about to turn this around. They can no longer feed on dueling and grades. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest with you. it was time for Dooley to go, and it was time for Graves to go. Because somebody told me recently, they was like, man, coach, y'all fired Graves and Dooley like the year after they went to the SWAC championship. First of all, they got fired the year after they lost the SWAC championship. They lost in the SWAC championship game, both of them. Both of them lost to Jackson State for one. And then second of all, they did worse the next season. So, yeah, it was time for both of them to go. I don't care what nobody says. Like, it is what it is. Man, salute to Adrian Crook. He said, what's good? Man, what's good, Crook? You know, hopefully all is well with you and the family during this holiday season. But at the end of the day, like I said, whether, you know, Jackson State fans won't acknowledge it, they admit it or not, JSU fans, like, they're going real hard on social media. And they say, you know, there's no chaos or whatever the case may be. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Sonic Boom C98. You know, you're going to have to replace some of them players anyway. Cool. But when you having this amount of, you know, first team all SWAC players or like real good players in the portal, yeah, I mean, that ain't a good look. And like I said, I already talked about how today's day and age in the days portal, in the days players with the transfer portal and the NIL, like players are not loyal the way they used to be. And I understand that dynamic, but at the same token, like, I don't know, it ain't a good look to me. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. And like I said, I could be wrong. I'm willing to admit I'm wrong, especially if Jackson State come through next year and they dominate the SWAC and they win the SWAC championship, whatever the case may be, cool. But from what I'm seeing right now, like, hey, it ain't looking great. And I mean, I that's my opinion. I could be wrong. And I'm not above admitting, hey, I was wrong about this. I was wrong about that. You know, I done it before. So, I mean, it is what it is. Your boy Jay say they are terrified of us. If Coach Faulk lands the players that are rumored, they will say none of it matters, but they bragged about stars for years. Oh, I'm not gonna lie. That's one thing I can say about Jackson State. Like, they were getting star caliber players. Ain't no two ways about that. You know what I'm saying? Jay Good say, he said there was never any signs of progress offensively and at the quarterback position under those head coaches' regression, actually. Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie. You know, I give Dooley credit when I say he recruited well, but when it came to evaluating and developing quarterback talent, like he did a terrible job. In fact, in all actuality, I think his first year there, he would have been better off if he would have, instead of going with Bashawn McCray, if he'd have gone with Glenda Bubba McDaniels. But the problem is he didn't develop Harold Blood. He didn't develop Noah Barton. He didn't develop none of those. He didn't develop Jalen Woods. He didn't develop none of those quarterbacks behind Bashawn McCray. And Bashawn McCray was a gadget type player anyway. He was a fast, not physical version of Taysom Hill, in my personal opinion. He wasn't fit to be a quarterback. He wasn't really a quarterback, my personal opinion. You know, he was more of a project player. And your boy Jay said, at least Dooley could recruit. He said Graves couldn't do neither. And that's the thing about it. I said that, you know, Dooley could recruit, but he couldn't evaluate nor develop quarterback talent. Graves couldn't do either one. He couldn't recruit neither coach. Nah, Dooley couldn't coach, but he could recruit. He could recruit his behind off. I'll give him that. But, you know, like I said earlier, you know, to win the SWAC, you need to have a quarterback, an elite level quarterback. You know what I'm saying? You need to have a senior season Quincy Richard. You know, you need to have a Dre Joseph. You need to have a Austin Howard type guy, even though, you know, Austin Howard couldn't get over the hump because Devontae Kincaid was at Grambling. You know, you need a Steve Aaron McNair. You need an Eric Randall. You need a Tavares Jackson. Like, you need to have in a dynamic, elite level quarterback, and that's one of the issues Southern has had. Southern hasn't had that guy in a long time. And speaking of quarterbacks, the crazy thing about it is, they got so many rumors out there. That's one of the things I really kind of try not to feed in, and I really don't like. I mean, don't get me wrong. We know there's hope around the program. The fact that Coach Faulk is taking over, and he's putting some good coaches in place. He's targeting like some elite level, high caliber players from a recruiting standpoint. But the rumors is the thing that really kind of aggravate me. Somebody sending me pictures of, hey, Southern gonna get TJ Finley, and I'm like, bro, had Southern got TJ Finley before he went to LSU, I would have taken him. Or once he left LSU, if he'd have came to Southern, I would have taken him. But somebody like TJ Finley, like, nah, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. If he did decide to transfer to Southern, I hate to say it, I'm gonna just be honest, I wouldn't even want him at this point. I mean, he done been to so many different schools, like, nah. And the crazy thing about it is, TJ Finley and Max Johnson was at LSU at the same time, and both of them have been to, like, I don't know how many schools. So at this point, I can't really keep up with how many schools TJ Finley and Max Johnson have been, And of course, you got, a variety of different rumors. At one point, people were saying that, Byron Leftwich was gonna be the offensive coordinator. That didn't happen. There's also been there's been so many rumors. So I think at this point, more than anything, managing expectations is really kind of a big thing, because I'm not gonna lie, like, you got a ridiculous amount of rumors. Because like I said, just to kind of touch on some of the rumors, somebody was telling me about TJ Finley. I'm like, somebody also sent me something about Jelani Watkins. I'm not saying somebody like Jelani Watkins wouldn't come to Southern, but I mean, to me at this point, until some of these guys actually touch down in Southern, Ricky Collins, TJ Finley, Jelani Watkins, it is what it is. So at the end of the day, I think Coach Faulk and his staff, I think they're going to do their due diligence. He's already hitting the ground running from a recruiting standpoint. And more than anything, like, I just want there to be progression in a program. You want to see growth. But I think as a member of Jaguar Nation, I think we have to realistically manage expectations. Don't get me wrong. I know people are like, hey, he making $400K a year. They're pumping a lot of money into, the facilities and the athletic program and the recruiting budget and this, that, and the third. But at the same token, I don't think the expectation should be for Southern to win the SWAC championship next year. I mean, if they do, hey, I'm gonna be good with it. I'm gonna be cool with it. But I don't think that should be the expectation, like right out the gate. You know what I'm saying? And your boy Jay said, it's good to see the fan base excited and to get all the media attention. We haven't had this in decades. Oh no, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest with you, your boy Jay. There's a lot of hope around the program. Like, it's a lot of positive vibes, and it's been a ridiculous amount of media attention. And I was talking to another one of my people, behind the scenes, one of the supporters of the channel, and basically, this person was saying, maybe that's why, like, JSU fans kind of been going at FAMU and Southern fans. I was saying, like, yeah, I think it's more the rivalry more than anything. Even during the off season, you want to kind of keep the banter and the trash talking and everything going. He was like, nah. He felt like since FAMU is getting some attention and Southern is getting a lot of attention, like only negative attention in terms of like all the players. And I really wouldn't say it's negative in terms of nobody did anything wrong or anything. Negative from the standpoint of, like day in and day out, you got more JSU players entering the portal. He was saying he think that's the reason why like JSU fans been going after FAMU and Southern fans online. And I'm like, nah, I don't look at it from that perspective. But I think at the end of the day, I kind of feel like Coach Faulk is moving in the right direction. It's gonna be crazy to see how things are. I'll probably see like 2 months from now. Like, I think really until you get into the season and you start kicking off, and you really start playing, you're really gonna be able to gauge and evaluate, what direction the team and the program is moving in. But more than anything, I think we just kind of need to take it one day at a time and see if things go in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I really feel like the media attention is good, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to do something on the field when it comes to Jaguar Nation. I mean, it wouldn't matter if you had, ESPN, NBC, ABC, CBS, WAFB, WBRs. If you had all these, media outlets, the Advocate, at every Southern University game, but if you only won, 3-4 games, it's not really gonna make a difference. So at the end of the day, I really feel like the attention is good, but we got to see progression on the field. Like, I think if Southern wins 7 games next season, I think that would be great. And that means Coach Faulk is moving the program in the right direction. However, if they were to exceed expectations and win the West, host the SWAC championship game and win the SWAC championship, or even win a Celebration Bowl, I definitely would be good with that. However, I'm not jumping out the window. I just kind of want you to gradually, build this house like one brick at a time, lay a solid foundation and just build it brick by brick. Your boy Jay said, Coach Faulk, turn this thing around. Jackson State fans may have a stroke. Yeah. And and I'm not gonna lie, I think it's I still like the rivalry. I still like the banter, the back and forth. Realistically, I think, all the high expectations for both Jackson State and Southern, like leading up to this past season, I think that's kind of what propelled the subscriber count and the views to go up for my channel. So, I like the trash talking and banter back and forth between Jackson State fans and Southern fans and Jackson State fans, Southern fans and FAMU or whoever, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm all for it, but I think the fact that, Jackson State has so many players in the portal and you got some Jackson State fans, across multiple social media platforms, especially on Facebook, going at both FAMU and Southern fans, I think, a few people that's around me, I think that was really eye-catching to them, Kendrick Wicker said, yeah, he said, we need to host a SWAC championship game because we going to be traveling three weeks in a row. Classic, SWAC championship game, and Celebration Bowl, all them games back to back. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think in a perfect world, if you Southern, you go to New Orleans, you win the SWAC championship. I'm sorry, let me say SWAC championship. If you go to New Orleans, you win a Bayou Classic. Boom, that's a good look. Then you host the SWAC championship game at A.W. Mumford Stadium, Pete Richardson Field. That's a great look. And then you go to Atlanta and you win Black National Championship. I think that's the ultimate goal. I don't think that should be the ultimate goal for Coach Faulk year 1. But I think year 2, year 3, if you get to that point, oh, yeah. But I know in the day and age, in the era we live in, people want instant results, immediate results. And I kind of want Jaguar Nation to have a long-term commitment to this plan and to this process. And at the end of the day, I think it's all going to work out. Your boy just said Mickey got his contract renewed. He said we must definitely He said we most definitely win in the class. Your boy Jake going in on Graham Fam. I like that. I like that, your boy Jake. But yeah, I mean, and that's the thing about it. I don't think he beat Southern in the class again, huh? He lost this year, he lost last year. Yeah, I don't think he beat Southern. So I mean, like, hey, that's crazy there. He didn't beat Southern. I mean, somebody was telling me this too. We was talking about, Coach Faulk and this, that, and the third, and the Bayou Classic came up. And they was like, man, Coach, they was like, I know you expected a close game, but did you expect Southern to win? I'm like, no, not really. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, man, for what Mickey Joseph did, they could have just kept Hugh Jackson. And I said, I'm going to be honest with you. I can't disagree with that sentiment because, I mean, don't get me wrong. Grambling did win 7 games, but 3 of them 7 games came against Division II schools. So, like, your boy Jake, hey, I'm not gonna lie, he must have read my mind because that's what I was saying as he was putting it in. You know what I'm saying? He said Hugh Jackson lost twice and Mickey lost twice. But, hey, and that's the crazy thing about it. That's what got Hugh Jackson fired was the fact that he lost the Bayou Classic twice. So the fact that Hugh Jackson lost twice and Mickey Joseph lost twice, I mean, hey, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, hey, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Dang, I done been on here. I'll win some change already. But yeah, I'm getting ready to wrap up this edition, this latest live stream. I did hit 1K subscribers. I really didn't monetize the channel yet. That's gonna be the next step. And in addition to that, of course, it's gonna be a few days from Christmas. But on Monday, I'm definitely gonna have another episode of the tailgate party. So be certain to come through on Monday for the latest installment, the latest edition of the tailgate party. Also on tomorrow, my brother Jared 11 Green, myself, the Southern Baller Show Collective, we're gonna have another installment, another edition of the Southern Baller Show. So y'all be certain to come over to my brother Jared 11 Green channel tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Catch the latest installment, the latest edition of the Southern Baller Show. And then on top of that, like I said, Monday, come through for the latest installment of the tailgate party. Your boy Jay said, hopefully we have more news by Monday. This is slow release of coaches, but it has been exciting. Oh, yeah, without question. It's been slow. It's kind of like Hank Scram used to say, hey, let's matriculate the ball down the field. And to me, it kind of seems like that's what they're doing. They're kind of matriculating information out, like slowly but surely, but gradually. But like you said, hopefully for the next installment of the next edition of the tailgate party, hopefully we have more news and more to talk about. And more than anything, the Marshall Faulk conversation is just a gradual, ongoing conversation. And I'm not even gonna lie. Like when, my coaching friend was telling me about his 90 plan and how he would hire Marshall Faulk, not in my wildest dreams that I expect Southern to hire Marshall Faulk and for things to be going the way they're going. Now, are they going to change the uniforms? Like he talked about in the 90 plan. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be honest with you. It wasn't just about the uniforms, but to me, when he laid out the entire 90 plan, that was like one of the selling points in terms of, rebuilding your brand, both on and off the field, changing the perception of Southern University, reaching back in terms of the legacy and the rich history, the rich tradition, change the uniforms, change the identity, both on and off the field, rebuild your brand. And I'm not gonna lie, he took a lot of Jay Good talking points in terms of, last year when we did the Southern University brand erosion thing, when I had the conversation at homecoming with Scotty. So he took a lot of those concepts that Jay Good laid out in terms of the brand erosion and the identity of the school and so on and so forth. Like, that's really what kind of was the genesis of his 90 plan. But I never thought, me doing that video of a plan he laid out would have led to Southern actually hiring Marshall Faulk and, things going the way it's going. But, hopefully, we have more information. We get the train moving on the track and, more information to come. You know what I'm saying? J Cedric 55, he said, what it do, man? Salute to you, J Cedric 55. He said if they switch to Nike, like it's being rumored, because Faulk is a Nike guy, then a uniform change is coming. I hope so. I hope a uniform change is coming. I hope they put a 28 Marshall Faulk jersey out. And not only that, but, all the Southern University legends that come through Southern, like the Harry Carmichaels, the Harold Blunt. I mean, the Harry Carmichaels, the Aeneas Williams, the Mel Blunts, Danny Johnson, Jatari Carter, Eric Randall, Sean Wallace, Mike Hayes, Melvin Williams, Lenore Tillery. Man, Southern has so many legends. Even if you actually, do the NIL reason, if you can't actually put their names on the back of the jerseys, even if you just put all these different numbers out, like, I think it'll be a good look. And, I think you gotta generate revenue so you can do some of the things you need to do in terms of improve facilities, add money to your budget, develop an NIL collective, so on and so forth. So these are all things that they really need to take into consideration. You know what I'm saying? I of the Watcher, he says, I have been saying that the school should have been missing out on funds by not selling jerseys. Yeah, that's the thing about it. They need to like monetize and fully capitalize off of the presence of Marshall Faulk while you have him, because if he has the success that we believe he can have, he's only going to be at Southern for a long time. And you got to take full advantage of that. And you got to put everything in place for while he's here. And if he has success when he moves on to greener pastures, And Eye of the Watcher said they should sell mini helmets and other helmets. Yeah, I think that's a good thing too. You know what I'm saying? Jay Cedric said, question. He said, do merchandise is included in the 20% Coach Faulk will collect? I mean, I don't know for certain. I mean, I haven't really like inquired too much on that, but I'm almost certain merchandise probably is a component to it. I mean, I would assume, but I mean, if you have somebody that could potentially move merchandise that has an NFL pedigree, so on and so forth, like, why not capitalize on that and why not monetize that? You know what I'm saying? Because, we saw that, we saw the kind of contract that Deion Sanders had when he was at Jackson State. And, Deion Sanders benefited from it and Jackson State benefited from it. So at the end of the day, like, why not fully monetize and capitalize on the presence of Marshall Faulk while you still have him here, But that's going to wrap up this latest live stream. Remember, tomorrow on my brother channel, Jared 11 Green, we're going to have another edition of the Southern Baller Show. And on Monday, we're going to have the latest installment of the Tailgate Party. Proud of me having a little dinner procedure done on Tuesday. Jay Good said, portion of capitalizing on the past greats merch. He said, even if it's just numbers, can go back into an NIL fund in all sports. And that's the thing about it. Like, you have him here, man, you need to capitalize on that. And like I said, that's been an ongoing conversation that Jay Good and I have been having behind the scenes. Like, come on, man. Like, even if you take that money and you invest it into the facilities, into an NIL collective, Like, whatever the case may be. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know one of the reasons why they really didn't want to fire Roman Banks was because they feel like he does a excellent job in terms of fundraising and, interfacing with the community and networking and so on and so forth. However, like, they've been losing out on money, and the fact that you have Marshall Faulk and he's getting $400K, and you have a nice little fund for his assistant coaches, and you have a nice little fund for recruiting and so on and so forth. Like, you have to take full advantage of that and fully monetize that. And Jay Cedric 55 say Marshall Faulk jersey in SU colors will be fire. Whoo, big facts. Big facts, Jay Cedric. Kendrick Wicker said, I thought Deion out them in a financial hole by taking a percentage. He said, I thought that well, from my understanding, he I think when it came to like the receipts and the tickets or whatever, and the amount of money, I mean, he was supposed to get a percentage once they reached a certain amount at the gate, at the vet. Like, Deion was supposed to like get a certain percentage of that, but when it came time to like report how much attendance was or whatever, like, it wasn't accurate or whatever. From what I'm understanding, that was like one of the issues that kind of led to him going to Colorado or whatever. And my thing was, like, if y'all was having some issues, y'all could have handled it behind the scenes. And if you just wanted to go to Colorado because it was more money, cool. But I didn't like the way he dragged JSU on the way out a little bit. I felt like he dirtied him up, he moneyed him up a little bit. But even with that being said, like, both parties benefited. Jackson State benefited from it, and we still see the benefit of it to this day. And Deion Sanders was able to go on to Colorado and get more money. So, like, they both benefited. He's saying that's the reason JSU went up on tickets. All right. Yeah, I know they did go up on tickets, but, watching this thing I watched, I don't know what it was on, CBS or whatever it was. I don't know what it was on, but supposedly that was one of the issues that led to him leaving Jackson State was the fact that he was supposed to get a percentage of the gate, and every time, like, they brought him the receipts in terms of, hey, this is the attendance. Like, whatever the threshold was, I think it was like 30,000, 40,000 or whatever. They were underreport what they actually had in attendance. So that was like a sticking point in terms of a point of contention for him, and that led to him leaving. So, I mean, it is what it is. I didn't like the way he left. I mean, if he just would have said, hey, I have a better opportunity in front of me at Colorado, I'm moving on to greener pastures, I appreciate the opportunity at Jackson State, woo, whatever. It'd have been cool, but once he left, he was talking about, how bad, the crime was in Jacktown and this, that, and the third. It is what it is, Your boy Jay said if SU start winning immediately, and if they hit on the portal, ticket prices are going to go up immediately. Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I know at one point when they won, I think, but that was what, the second SWAC championship under P. Richardson. Like, the ticket prices went up, and like, I knew people that were season ticket holders that sat in our section. That next year after those ticket prices went up, like, they didn't renew their season tickets. They didn't come back. So, it's gonna be interesting to see if, when Southern starts winning, if they go up on the ticket prices, if, some members of Jaguar Nation say, nah, I'm good. So it's going to be interesting to see. SU Jaguar 98, he said, yo, what's up, SU Jags, man? Salute to you, SU Jaguar 98. Your boy Jay said, if fans hear that Ricky Collins is the starting quarterback for Coach Faulk, he said that hype will be crazy and the ticket prices will go up. Well, I'm going to be honest with you, your boy Jay. To me, I think you actually have to win on the field and then the next season go up on season ticket prices. I don't think you could go up on season ticket prices immediately. At least that's my opinion. And I think what P. Richardson had won. He won the SWAC championship in '93. They went 6-5 in '94, and then they won the SWAC championship in '95. Then they went up on the ticket prices. So to me, I think it's a progression. I don't think you could just say, "Hey, we got Coach Faulk here, and Ricky Collins gonna be our starting quarterback, so we're gonna go up on ticket prices." I think you gotta progress to that point. At least I could be wrong, but you could be right too. You never know. I have the watcher say it has been reported that the vet operates in the negative because of the maintenance costs. Yeah, well, when I talked about, JSU fans, going at Southern fans and FAMU fans, and roughing the SWAC and a few of these other Facebook groups, that's what they were saying in terms of, when it came to Jackson State, they were saying basically like, the vet, fans across the SWAC always point out how like the vet is not, not owned by Jackson State. And not only do they point that out, but they also point out how, it's old, it's run down, it requires a lot of maintenance, so on and so forth. But, that was one of the things that I pointed out earlier in terms of, JSU fans, saying this and saying that. But, a Southern fan responded by, athletics in a deficit, double the out-of-state tuition. They can't cover the NIL costs. They decreased in annual revenue. They had to invest in a decrepit stadium, losing $1 million annually. And basically, they were saying the blueprint. So yeah. So in that little rant, that basically a response to what a JSU fan was saying about FAMU and Southern, some of the members of Jaguar Nation that I rock with, they made a response to that. In fact, to be exact, it was a diehard member of Jaguar Nation that I rock with, what I'm saying, that support the channel, I want to say broken scanners and people getting free tickets via hookups. Yeah. Man, salute to my brother Jared 11 Green. I talked about earlier how we're gonna be on his channel tomorrow for the Southern Baller Show. We're gonna talk about the college football playoffs and NFL and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Jay Cedric say JSU is a great program, but that damn stadium he said they play in is a dump. Mississippi politics is hurting them, my opinion. Oh yeah, I mean, I think that could be that's a valid point, And I look forward to going to the vet next year when Southern go to the vet, if the law says the same. Man, salute to EA. He said greetings from Rattler Country. I know EA is happy that FAMU has officially hired, not official yet, but they done hired Quinn. I think that's a good look for FAMU, In fact, I'm going to be honest with you. I think, some people might say it's crazy. I know he's going to bring a lot of players with him. Hey, Jackson State might have to look out for FAMU next year, in my personal opinion. Kendrick Wicker said, I think Deion was supposed to help get them a new stadium. Yeah. I mean, clearly that whole thing fell apart, you know what I'm saying? Jay Cedric said, he said, I seen on Meta that SUOC will be the guy that ran the hobo offense at San Francisco State this year, not Kasky. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. They got the guy from Sacramento State, not San Francisco State, Sacramento State. Yeah, we talked about that earlier, Jay Cedric. Salute to Keep It Up, fam. He said it's not just Mississippi politics, but he said, but the bad decision making from corrupt administration that is in place. He said once they're boycotted and then removed from their positions and better and smarter people. Yeah. Jay said, yeah, go offense. Sacramento State. Yeah. We talked about that earlier, Jay Cedric. Your boy Jay said that go offense is going to dominate the SWAC if we get the right quarterback. Yep, you need the right quarterback. You need the right receivers. You need the right offensive lineman. Yeah, I think if you get the right players in place, yeah, it's definitely gonna do damage. You know what I'm saying? I have to watch Kendrick Wickie say Dion did not understand Mississippi politics and thought that the state would do something because he was famous. Rich, poor, or in between. As long as you are black, they don't care. Oh, I can believe that. Keep it up, fam. See, everything changes. They hold all the keys to every door, and they're purposely holding HBCUs back from being the very best. Southern is doing it right, and that is why they'll represent the SWAC next. I sure hope so. Adrian Cook said they don't own the stadium. Yeah, people like you and other Southern fans, they always talk about that because one JSU fan was talking about A.W. Mumford and basically was saying it was this, it was that. And I think it was Adrian Cook and a few other people was like, man, hey, bro, y'all don't even have a stadium. Like, why are y'all talking trash? Like, y'all shouldn't even be in this comment section. Hey, you do not have to get Adrian Cook started. Adrian Cook gonna go ham, you know what I'm saying? Keep it up, fam. Say next season in the Celebration Bowl, he said, fam, you will continue to lose and JSU will still be in debt with the stadium because of bad decision making. Ed Reed is a head coach would help resolve those problems. But now I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna keep it a buck, keep it up, fam. I think Ed Reed and kind of burn that bridge. We talked about it early in the show. Adrian Cook said, that's UMMC crap. All right. Franklin S. Salute to you. He said, what's up, bro? Man, what's good with your family? Your boy Jay said Coach Faulk is offering some elite high school talent all over Louisiana. Hiring Ben Miles is doing wonders. So I can't wait to see what they do in the portal. Oh, big facts. Jay Cedric said, have Coach Faulk narrow down who is going to be his running backs and D-line coach yet. Yeah. I don't know yet. Hopefully we'll have some more news by the time Monday rolls around, hopefully. Keep it up, fam. He said the problem is the administration based on what they want versus what the people want, who financially have the money to support. He said the best are leaving JSU, and TC is no droop. He said it's no droopy dog. Taylor is part of the problem. He said remove TC for Harry and the debt problems are solved. All right, keep it up, man. Franklin said, I just can't wait in a couple of years. Southern and Jackson State rivalry will be must-see TV. Oh, I can't wait for that. Adrian Cook said the only way y'all silly behinds can save money is cutting out the night games. Adrian Cook said JSU upside down trying to lease the vet. Hey, it didn't take much to get Adrian Cook in here. Once Adrian Cook got in the building, we already knew Adrian Cook was going to start going ham on JSU. We already knew. EA said the D2 to the HBCU train to continue FAMU cornerback bound. Oh, Celebration Bowl bound in 2026. Well, EA, you're going to have some members of Jaguar Nation that feel the same way. So we'll see how things play out. But I'm not going to lie. I like the move of Quinn Gray, EA. And then on top of that, I mean, it's obvious that Isaiah Knowles is coming to FAMU to be the starting quarterback. So, like, it's gonna be an interesting season next season, to say the least. Jay Good put LOL. Keep it up, fam. See, I'm a Jackson State supporter. He said, and I can tell you now, their special teams kicker will struggle mightily along with the offensive line, who will get destroyed. He said Lockhart won't have a chance next season. Woo! Franklin, he said the way I see it, he said Coach T.C. Taylor and his coaching staff is doing a great job at recruiting because other teams is coming for their players. So I believe they will still recruit on a high level. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be imperative that they do, Franklin, because the reason being is because, I mean, if you got 20 players in the portal, like you're gonna need to get some elite level players to recruit. You're gonna need to recruit and bring in some elite level players to replace all those players that hit the portal. Players like Miller, like Travis Terrell Jr. They got some dogs in the portal. Your boy Jay say hopefully Coach Faulk gets a new punter and fix special teams. It was awful for 2 years. The bad part, your boy Jay, is I wasn't mad with them retaining Coach Fred McNair, but I really think he gonna look around. They talked about it earlier on, Carlos Brown show in terms of, he might get a better offer from somewhere else, so he might leave Southern. He might even take a D2 head coaching job. But either way, I think is a possibility Coach McNair could stay. He got the stability, but I think he might move around. But in terms of Southern, I didn't like them retaining a special teams coordinator because Kenny Lee Pham was a terrible punter. Nathan Zimmer, he was a true freshman kicker. And, I gave him some grace, but I'm not going to lie. Grambling kicker was so much better than Nathan Zimmer. I'm not even going to lie. If I told you anything else, I'll be lying. You know what I'm saying? Adrian Cook said, don't nobody want to play for a practice squad. T.C. Taylor. Keep it up, fam. He said, because of them, he said, Southern, however, will have a better team and they'll have their way with majority of the teams next season. The question is, how much money will Marshall Faulk spend to get better? Well, from what I'm understanding, they already to get better. He said the offensive line, because that's the key to all of this for Southern. He said if they can get that along with better special teams, it's a wrap. Hopefully. Jay Cedric said, SU, do not worry about JSU because Big Bama State ain't taking a backseat to nobody. Well, I'm not going to lie, Jay Cedric. Big Bama State, y'all got to replace Andrew Body. Y'all got to replace Carl Ligon. Don't get me wrong. Eddie Robertson, he a good coach. I think he gonna have Alabama State straight. But hey, I think the SWAC across the board as a whole gonna be keep it up, fam. Say offensive line because I read that. Your boy JC, special team coordinator, got fired. I heard. Well, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, Southern special teams been lousy for years. So, it is what it is. EA said, Crook, he said, man, go take your medicated chocolate pudding and go to bed. Man, y'all wild, bro. EA said, Adrian Cook said, EA. He said, what is your game behind talking about? Okay. Keep it up, fam. Say Big Bama State. He said, can't keep their best, and Big Bama State lost a big-time player in Andrew Body to the transfer portal. Not to mention Carl Ligon, but that's another story. He said Big Bama State better find some money so that Big Bama State can at least retain talent. Your boy Jay said Alabama State versus Southern and Mobile next year. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Lost City Sam, I'll go to that game. Franklin said it's been crazy to me how people acting like JSU ain't got a bag to drop to. Well, I'm not gonna lie, Franklin. Hey, 22 players in the portal. Hey. Jay Cedric said Tayshawn Smoot is the next QB at Big Bama State, and I wish Andrew Body well. Well, I mean, my thing at this point, yeah, Tayshaun Smoot, you're right. He did do well. Props to him. It's gonna be interesting to see. Andrew Body's been a little bit injury prone. Is he gonna go to a Power 5 PWI, or like what is he gonna do? That's gonna be the major question. You know what I'm saying? Frankly, say I definitely believe the SWAC as a whole is going to be a lot better next year. I hope so too. I believe so. Keep it up, fam. Say Big Bama State ain't winning the SWAC, just like Prairie View, Texas A&M won't win the Celebration Bowl. He said Prairie View and Texas Southern won't win the Celebration Bowl trophy. Adrian Crooksey, JSU don't have a back. Man, y'all wilding in this chat. You know what I'm saying? Adrian Crooksey, the cult is still hurting $1 million in NIL. He said, how much you think you have to pay 50 players across all sports? He said, how stupid can thee be? Man, Adrian Crook is going ham already. Franklin said, Crook, JSU game, Southern, the blueprint. All right. In fact, your boy Jay said Andrew Body can come to Southern and play for Marshall Faulk. Well, I'm not gonna lie. Forget the Ricky Collins and the TJ Finley rumors. I would take Andrew Body at Southern. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Can he stay healthy? That would be that would be the thing. But I'll take him at Southern. So that you could put a good offensive line in front of him. Keep it up, fam. Say Big Bama State. He said, are no better with Smoot than they were this past season. Big Bama State will be watching the Hall of Fame Marshall Faulk on ABC television while Big Bama States continue to lose players in the portal. Franklin said, Crook, JSU gave Southern the blueprint thanks to the AD Ashley Robinson. I love. All right, Jay Cedric said, SU and Bama State and Mobile, Alabama will be super fire. Please come. He said, if you know how that game used to be in the 90s, a real SWAC lover won't miss it. Oh, no, I'm not going to lie. If the fund's right, Jay Cedric, and the law says the same, my intent is to, since I finally got the channel monetized, is to, since I hit a K, I'm going to get it monetized this week. But my intent is to go to all Southern games. You know what I'm saying? Adrian Crook say, Franklin, y'all broke, boy. Keep it up, fam. Say Big Bama State with an empty trophy case. Adrian Crook say Franklin Stump was a Pro Bowl running back. He said Franklin Pete was an NFL DB. LOL. Oh no, I'm not gonna lie. That's facts. Pete played for the Buffalo Bills. Stump Mitchell played in the NFL. So yeah. But that's gonna conclude this live stream. Like I said, on Monday, I'll be back in the building for the tailgate party. Y'all come through Monday night tailgate party. I haven't really set a time yet. I'm gonna set a time. Y'all come through. EA say somebody called security at the mental hospital in Pineville. Crook got a phone on the 3rd floor. Your boy Jay said we was trying to hire Faulk in spring 2021. He said Jackson State didn't give us no blueprint to do nothing. Franklin said, Crook, I am like Capital One. What is in your wallet? Put something on it. Keep it up, fam. Say shout out to the big Southern who are about to take over the SWAC. All right, already. Adrian Crook said, EA, that's not close to Baton Rouge. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Pineville is a little hard, I used to work in Marksville, so It ain't too. It is a little piece from there, you know. Jay Cedric said the Port City Classic promoter is a former SU band member and student. Okay, all right, that's what's up. That's what's up. You know what I'm saying? Andrew Cook said, someone called FAMU. Someone gave that stealing AD a credit card. man, y'all are wild in this chat. But well, like I said, tailgate party Monday night, tomorrow, 3:30. Southern Baller Show, my brother Jay Love Green Channel. I'll catch y'all on the rebound. Y'all have a blessed and phenomenal evening. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to y'all. Catch y'all on the rebound. Peace and blessings. And go Jags. You dig?